Hey guys, I am the Comics Kid 2099, and like I try to do on every Friday, today's video is about
Missed opportunities.
If you have never seen one of these videos before, basically I talk about a movie or a TV show or a book, and I say this is what they did, and here's how they could have improved the plot in some way. Today I want to talk about the TV series Arrow, which a while back I did a review of Season 1. You may or may not know this, but I'm actually a pretty huge fan of the series right now. I watched the first episode when it first came on, and I wasn't too impressed. It took until the beginning of Season 2, and I was hearing people say, this show has gotten really, really good for me to go back and watch the whole series and get caught up. And I am really enjoying the show now. And way back in November of last year, I had a really crazy theory that almost as soon as I put it out there, it was kind of debunked, if you will. I wrote down when I put this theory out on the internet, I was on a message board where several other people are fans of Arrow, and on November 18th, I suggested that maybe Ollie and Shadow were going to have a baby. Now, if you have not been watching the show, maybe right now I should go ahead and say there are going to be a lot of spoilers in this episode. So if you are planning to watch Arrow Season 2, don't watch the rest of this video because I'm going to be spoiling some key moments from Season 2. And if you have been watching this show, then you know the idea of Ollie and Shadow having a baby is impossible at this point. Basically, shortly after I put it out there, hey, what if Shadow has Ollie's baby? Shadow got killed by Professor Ivo in the flashbacks. So we know that that's not going to happen unless by some weird chance Shadow gets brought back by the Mirakuru. I personally don't want that to happen. Once someone gets actually killed in the series, I kind of want them to stay dead. Having said that, I do have some ideas about how I wish this had happened if they had not killed off Shadow. At the time that Shadow was still alive, we knew that there was a freighter hanging around the island, and in fact, Ollie got kidnapped and brought aboard the freighter, but Shadow and Slade were still on the island. I suspected that what was going to happen was, by the time Ollie got back to the island, Shadow was already going to be off the island. And we knew that in between Season 1 and 2, Shadow and Ollie became a couple. And I figured Shadow was going to be off the island, and then Ollie was never going to see her again, and then she was going to give birth to his baby like 6 months later in story time. And then, in the present day, Shadow would come to Starling City, and what's this? She has a 5-year-old kid. Now, I know in the comics, Ollie and Shadow had a kid. I don't remember that kid's name. I know that Ollie also had another son who was much older than the kid he had with Shadow. That son was named Connor Hawke. Now, if it was up to me, I would have had Shadow and Ollie actually have Connor. She would come back, she would have this 5-year-old kid because Ollie was on the island for 5 years, and she would say, Ollie, meet your son Connor. Now, other than the fact that Shadow is now dead, I guess technically they could still have this happen. At any given point, the show is always 5 years ahead of itself in terms of flashbacks. So, during Season 1, we were seeing stuff that happened 5 years earlier on the island. And during Season 2, we are seeing stuff that happened 5 years earlier on the island. So, in Season 3, if they wanted to say that Ollie hooked up with some Russian Bratva woman and then later she comes to Starling City and she has a kid, I guess they could do this story. But personally, I was really wanting it to be Shadow. Now, as it turns out, Slade becoming a bad guy kinda hinged on Shadow dying on the island, so I'm not really sure how they would have handled Slade's face heel turn if Shadow was still alive and had left the island and was going to have Ollie's baby. But I kind of think they could have found a different way to have Slade turn evil and still have the Shadow having Ollie's baby thing happen. Just because I was attached to the idea, and like as soon as I put it out there, Shadow gets killed in the show. So anyway, what did you guys think of this idea? Do you think it's still possible that we might see Connor Hawke in the show? I really highly doubt that he's going to be a grown man, and if they do a grown man version of Connor Hawke, then he's probably not going to be Ollie's son. What did you guys think of that idea? Would you want to see Connor show up in this show? I personally really like Connor Hawke, almost more than Ollie, but these days I like Ollie quite a bit more than I used to. But I really do like Connor, and I would really like to see him show up in the show in some way. Do you guys want to see him show up? Did you like this idea? I know this was a shorter video than normal, but really it didn't take me that long to explain it. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you didn't like what I had to say, be sure to tell me also in the comments below what you didn't like about this video. I am always trying to improve my channel in some way, so if you don't like what I have to say, please tell me in the comments below. Be honest. I appreciate your feedback no matter what happens, and I will be bringing you guys an entirely different kind of video tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and a great weekend. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one.